How you guys doing? How you guys doing? Welcome to Champ's Corner. My name is Danny Calafell. Come to you guys live every week, mostly Mondays. Um, every Monday, come to you guys live. We talk business, sales, increasing income, and always coming off of a weekend, getting you guys pumped up, giving you guys strategies, tips, techniques to get you through the week, whatever it is you're going through, whether you're in business, sales, entrepreneur, solopreneur. People that are maybe trying to find their way income wise. They got a career. They're looking to transition careers. This is a lot of good information I try to push out to help as many people as possible. Today I want to talk to you guys about rejection. So today we're going to be talking about rejection. And that's going to be tied into a number of different things. Mainly, I want to go over this when it comes to business and sales, because that's main. I mean, throughout life period, there's always going to be a sense of rejection. Everybody's going to get rejected at one point or another. Whether you're looking for a deal, you're shopping around, you're looking for a deal of a house, a car, you're out at the mall, you're out, trying to negotiate certain things. You're in business, you're looking to negotiate deals and looking to get new customers, and especially in sales when you're out trying to prospect, you're out trying to approach customers. And this is something that, a lot of people struggle with having to be able to deal with, you could say. When I've always been the resilient type where, I don't just take no for an answer. But for some people, it's a very, very harsh, and it all depends also, because you could have people tell you no in one area and you're fine, but in another area you're not. Like, personal wise, right? So in business, you could be as resilient as possible. Somebody tells you no, you're very persistent. But then when it comes to personal, like maybe, guys approaching a woman or something like that, girl tells you no, and that level of rejection is like, well, damn, you might, like I said, you might be good in one area, but you might be bad in another. And, it took me a while to be able to put everything together and really have a good understanding that all of this ties in together. It's not only about just, in a professional career, and it's not only about, in my case, being a business owner, being in sales, it all ties in, together as far as, this whole rejection thing. Sales in general, period. But and business, like, it's all like just the psychological portion of it. It just really all ties into one another. But, for the most part, the whole rejection thing, I see that a lot of people, they tend to get very emotional when it comes to, they let their emotions, like, oh, that person told me no. How could they tell me no? Who are, do they even know who I am and what I'm capable of and what it is that I can actually do for them? Why would they tell me no? So you get a lot of people, they get an emotional, scenario like that. And even, like I said, tying it into personal, a guy approaching a girl, and it's like, well, okay, well, damn, if you're going to reject me like that, then, well, screw you then, and it's just not the way to. There's so many different ways. So I'm going to cover a lot of different ways that you can take care of it, that you can handle it. Because it's, we give courses with sales training. We give courses on how to handle rejection. It's mainly overcoming rejection and transitioning, because it ends up coming up with rejection ends up getting tied into the whole objections and complaints side of things when it comes to that. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but that's what it really ties into. It ties into a lot of objections and so forth, which I do want to dive in, and that's how to overcome rejection. So first off, it's going to be, there's three ways that you can handle this. Okay, basically three ways to handle it. First, you have to acknowledge it. Okay, that's going to be number one. You have to acknowledge the fact that you just got rejected. Now, the fact that you're acknowledging it, it's what you do with the acknowledgement that's really gonna bring you into step 2 and 3. Okay, because there's certain people that can acknowledge it and they just ignore the fact that they just got rejected, and they just keep continuously pushing forward with their persistence. And there's other people, they acknowledge it, but they acknowledge it too much, where again, they let it throw them off track. They let it distract them. So they're so focused on, I can't believe this person rejected me, or they get stuck where they're not able to pivot and continue with, if you're in sales, if you're doing a pitch, person and the person you're pitching to says, I'm not interested, or a person is like, listen, we're good, we're all set, we don't need this right now, come back another time. Matter of fact, we're all set, we're all good, we're not going to need you, period. It's how you pivot around that that's going to determine. First, you're going to have to acknowledge it, and then once you acknowledge it, then like I said, it's how you acknowledge it, how you attack this. Are you going to attack it where you're like, well, no, you should do business with me because X, Y, and Z? Or are you going to acknowledge it where it's like, well, why not? Like, we're the best. You should want to do this stuff. And I'll tell you what, if you don't want to work with us, we don't want to work with you, and we're never going to, don't call us. That's not how you get deals. That's how you blow deals. That's not how you build relationships. And, you do that in your personal life, and you're going to end up single for a very, very long time. But, for the most part, like I said, it really comes down to how you attack this whole thing when it comes to rejection. So first, you got to acknowledge it. Second, you're going to have to build up the persistence. Okay, so, the fact that you got rejected, the fact that you're working on a deal, and customer keeps coming up with ways reasons why they're not going to do business with you, reasons why they don't want to deal with you, reasons why they don't want to pick up the phone, reasons why they don't want to give you the amount of time that you're asking them. If you're in a pitch, like I said, you're asking for 5 minutes to do a demo, or you're, in our case, that's what we're doing. We want 5 or 10 minutes to sit down with the customer and show them a demonstration or a presentation of what we can do for them, how we can help them, ways that we can increase their business and sales, and ways that we can help their business and organization get from wherever it is that they're at to that next stage. That's what we're looking for. Whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're doing a demo because you're a contractor, or you're a plumber, or you're in pest control, or you're a landscaper, you're a manufacturer, all these different types of ways. You're whatever it is you're doing, you want that solid appointment with a customer to be able to show them what you got, or to get them to pull the trigger on a contract or something like that. And they're always going to come up with ways of why they don't want to do it, why the price may be too high, why maybe they're wanting to hold off on making a decision right then and there. That's not really a form of rejection. That's just a stall. But for the most part, like, they're just going to say, hey, look, we're not interested. We don't want to deal with you. We don't want to work with you. We already have people that we deal with. We don't work with new people. We don't work with new customers. We've never heard of you before. They're going to come up with so many different things. And like I said, first you're going to have to acknowledge, then you're going to have to build up the persistence. So the persistence comes into play where you're to the point where it's like, okay, I get that you're not interested, or I get that you don't want to give me the time. Here's why. And you keep pushing. That's where the persistence comes from. And that takes time. That's not going to happen. If this is your first rodeo, you've never been in sales before, and you're just getting into a sales career, or you just picked up a business and you're just starting to start your entrepreneurial journey, that level of persistence, that takes time, because a lot of people get thrown off, and I see it all the time. We see this every day, where salespeople get thrown off, business people get thrown off all the time when they're hit with something and they're not prepared. And that's going to bring me into number 3, and that's find ways around it. And the only way you find ways around it is studying, learning, picking up material, picking up content, learning from what it is that what we teach with my company. Okay, when it comes to sales training, all right, learning, finding ways around it. So when somebody says no, there's so many different ways that you can get around that, instead of just taking the no and walking away, which is what a lot of people end up doing. Especially a lot of the people that don't have that necessary skill set, salespeople, right? We talk about this a lot. 55% of salespeople lack basic skills. Now the reason for that is because they're not training. They're not learning. They're not perfecting their craft. And when you tend to work on your craft, you find new ways on how to handle situations, how to approach certain situations, how to deal with situations as they come. Okay, and I'll take this back of when I was an athlete, right? So when I was an athlete and I was training, I mean, this is stuff that we would work on. We work at one thing at a time, and we learn on how to deal with that scenario when that scenario came. So, for example, like when I was boxing, it was a scenario of, okay, well, if this person throws this punch, this is what we're going to work on today, and this is how we're going to be able to work different angles. This is how we're going to be able to pivot and work different maneuvers and different ways to either be on the defense or counter, or just come up with different ways on how to handle that particular scenario. And it's the same thing here. Somebody hits you with a rejection of, no, I'm not interested. You have to find different ways around it. Okay, instead of just taking it and walking away. You'll never get a deal like that. And a lot of people, what we end up explaining is, it's not that you'll never get a deal like that. Eventually you will, but you'll lose a lot more than you're winning. So there's so many deals that you could have had you know how to overcome that because you didn't, and you didn't know how to overcome it, you ended up losing out. You ended up losing those opportunities. You ended up losing out on those deals. And that's why we train, and that's why we push so hard in what it is that we offer, because a lot of salespeople don't know these things. Okay, and if they do, they're very minimalized in their toolbox. Okay, in their set of tools, in their skill set. Okay, so these are things that we end up pushing and helping a lot of people out with. So and like I said, this can have to do with, when it comes to this could tie into deals, this can tie to relationships, purchasing things, right? So there's a lot of times where, I mean, you're at a dealership, you're looking to get a new car or something like that. You're gonna try to hit the salesperson that's trying to sell you with something. This is the reverse side of it, right? Salesperson's trying to sell you something, and you're going to try to come back with them with some sort of a counter offer or trying to negotiate, and they're going to just tell you flat out, no, we can't do that. And like I said, it's how you deal with that is going to determine what ends up happening on the deal. Okay, because I've been in scenarios where I've been at a dealership, guys trying to sell me something, and I flip something up on him. Okay, he tells me no. Now, it's how I deal with that scenario is whether or not my counter is going to be able to stick, or we're going to be able to come to some sort of an agreement, okay, and negotiate the right way, because that's the right way to negotiate. Negotiation isn't, it's my way, and if you can't deal with that, goodbye. It's my way. Oh, okay, you don't like that. Okay, so now what other way can I come up with? And that's why I said number 3, finding ways around it. Okay. First, you have to acknowledge, hey, look, I understand. I get that you can't do that. Then you have to build up the persistence, but I want this done. And then you got to do number 3, find ways around it. And this is how I want it done. Since you can't work with me with this, since you can't work with me with that, since you can't find ways around this, then this is what I present. This is what I think. This is the direction I think we should do. Or this is the number I was looking to buy the car for. If you're looking to purchase a vehicle, like if we're at the dealership scenario, right? That example that I used. So we're at the dealership example. I'm sitting down with a guy, salesperson. He's presenting me with the agreement. He's showing me the cars. He's showing me the vehicles. We're talking numbers, and he comes and he hits me with, okay, this is the MSRP on the car. This is what I'm going to charge you, and this is what I can offer you. Now I'm going to come back with a counter offer and say, hey, look, that's not good enough. I want something better than that. Then he's going to come back and he's going to tell me, well, no, I can't do that. It's either like this or we don't have a deal. Okay. This, like I said, that's something simple like buying a car. I mean, that's a $30,000, $40,000, depending on the kind of car that you're getting, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 purchase, right? When you're talking about business owners that are working on multi-million-dollar contracts, $100,000 contracts, things like that, things get a little emotional, you could say, right? And this is something that we talk about in negotiation in our negotiation courses. And taking the emotion out of the equation and starting to really apply, like I said, the three ways that you need to handle this, which is acknowledge, build up persistence, find ways around it, is going to determine how you handle that situation, whether you get emotional like the other person is going to get, because somebody's going to end up getting emotional. There's a lot of emotion, especially the bigger the deal size, the more the emotion. And when that ends up happening, like I said, things start getting a little shaky if you don't know how to handle the situation the right way, if you don't know how to negotiate right, if you don't know how to find ways around the rejection, because that's what's going to end up happening. You're going to get rejected. There's no way around it. It's going to end up happening. And I'm talking about while you're in a deal. I've been in so many different deals where the guys just flat out says no. Guy flat out says, listen, this is as much as we can do, and we're not willing to pay this much money. Okay, and I've had to find numerous ways around that in order to solidify the deal. So he did reject me. He rejected my offer. He rejected what I was presenting to them. I sent him over an agreement, and he rejected the agreement. He rejected it because he didn't sign it. Okay, he or she. And the way that I had to find my way around it is, like I said, I had to acknowledge, I had to build up the persistence. Hey, listen, this is why you should do business with us. This is why we're, this is why it's going to cost this amount of money because of X, Y, and Z. This is why you should do business with us because of X, Y, and Z. And then on top of that, I'm representing you the agreement again. Look it over again. So I'm still persistent. I'm not saying, hey, okay, well, I'm sorry, if you can't afford that, then you're not the customer for us. Goodbye. That's not how you get deals. That's how you lose deals. Okay. There's also ways that there's also 3 other things that we tie into this, and that's acknowledge, isolate, and pivot. So you have to acknowledge the fact of, and this kind of ties in, which I'll probably go into another segment of this on another show, and we'll talk about as far as the objection portion of it. But that's another 3 that I actually threw at you. But for the most part, when it comes to rejection, okay, that's the number one. I would say one of the number one key strategy. It's not even a strategy. It's just a key component when it comes to sales, negotiation, business, life, period, is building up the resilience to rejection. Okay, everybody gets rejected. Here's the funny thing, right? And I wanted to cover this. Here's the funny thing. When we're younger, we don't even hear the word no. If you notice that. When we're kids, when we're younger, we're taught from a young age that no is no and that we have to accept it. But if you notice, when you look at kids, they're the most persistent. They're the most persistent out of anything, because no, they don't take no for an answer. So you tell them, no, I'm not going to buy you this, and they keep asking you over and over and over and over again. And somewhere between that age and the age that we end up getting, when we end up getting older, we learn to accept the fact of being rejected. We learn to accept the fact of no. And depending on, again, when we learn to accept that, then we end up getting our emotions involved as far as, oh, this person told me no, I can't believe they said that. If I'm looking to ask a girl out, I can't believe she told me no. If I'm looking to, negotiate on something as far as deal wise, or somebody's looking to, sell me something, or I'm looking to sell something to somebody, or I'm in a business deal, or whatever the case is, right? When they say no, we've learned, or we end up adapting to the part where it's like we take it personally. And that's the problem, is that when we end up taking it personally, we don't do these 3 things. You don't acknowledge it. Okay. You acknowledge it, but you acknowledge it in a negative way, where again, you take it personal. Then you lose the persistence, because the persistence ends up getting thrown out the window because you took it so personal, where it's like, okay, well, now I'm offended. And then once you're offended, you're not looking to find ways around it. You're looking to get the hell out of the situation, and again, that's not how you end up, getting deals. That's not how you end up winning and getting what it is that you want. And again, that falls into the whole negotiation. Yeah, a lot of these things tie into one another. I mean, I could cover up all these topics. I'm trying to stay on topic. I'm not trying to, shift out of here, because like I said, this could go into the whole thing as far as objections, negotiation strategies, just overall, even when it comes to prospecting and things like that, I mean, this just understanding the buyer. I mean, so many different courses that we cover all pertain to how to handle the rejection, because that's one of the number one key components to sales. Like when we talk to salespeople all the time, there's a certain skills, there's a certain not skill set. it's a certain trait, characteristic that salespeople have, business people have, and if you don't have, I believe everybody has it. It's just a muscle that is just like going to the gym. It's just like a muscle that you have to build up and you have to work on. But I believe everybody has a certain level of resilience to them, because when you really want something, you go for it. You know, no matter if somebody tells you no or not. And it's just being able to apply that to areas of your life that you can actually get things out of it. Like I said, if it's a relationship you're looking for, if it's a business deal that you're in, if it's a deal that you're working on and you're in sales, everybody has that level of resilience. It's just certain. It's just over time, it's become to a point where a lot of people end up giving up on that, and it just becomes weak. So it's just, like I said, like a muscle. You have to work on that so you can build that level of resilience back up. And it comes to a point somebody says no, and you don't even hear them, but you don't hear. You hear them because you're acknowledging what they said, but you're not treating it as an actual no. You're treating it as more so like a complaint, which is, again, I didn't want to tie that into, because that's the whole objection handling type subject, but it does tie in. I mean, we talk about this all the time in objection handling. Is it an objection or is it a complaint? Is it really an objection, or are they complaining about something? And that's something else that we go over and we tie into. But that's really what I want to talk about. I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Just really the whole overcoming rejection, how to handle it, finding ways around it. The three components again, three ways that you're going to be able to handle it. I'm going to go over it again. Is number 1, acknowledge. Number 2, build up persistence. And number 3, find ways around it. And that's pretty much it. So if you guys like today's show, like, post, comment, and share. Like, post, comment, and share. And if you didn't, again, like, post, share, comment. Let me know what you didn't like. Let me know what you would like to hear more about. And once again, you guys were in Champ's Corner. I do this every Monday. I will see you guys next week. You guys make sure to kill it this week. I'll leave out like I always do. Your choices today are a reflection of your outcome tomorrow. I'll see you guys next week. Stay great and kill it.